There are many people out there that call this form of carbon carbon-7. Well, that may be that it's referring to the number of neutrons that it carries, but it will be 6 protons and 7 neutrons. Again, we have another interesting number in that it's lucky 7. But carbon-13 or carbon-7, doesn't matter what you call it, will actually provide us an improvement in our ability to connect to unity. It will also empower us in ways that we don't have right now. We don't have the abilities. We certainly don't have the type of clairvoyant abilities, the telepathic abilities. There will be improvements in our ability to access the universal mind, because quite frankly we don't have to house that locally in our brain as a memory, although really that's housed in the mind, but right now we don't have enough connection back to the universal mind to gain access to all of that knowledge that's available to us. We will also have the kinds of abilities that they dream of in the Secret and the Law of Attraction. It will, for the most part, render our need for procuring food, producing energy. Economics will, really not be required in a way, shape, or form that they are now. And you can see, those particular elements are now under a lot of stress, and they're going to go away. But there's no need to maintain them. The other thing too is our technology right now is largely going to be superfluous. Why need a computer when you have a universal mind and the ability to access it immediately? It sort of renders a computer a useless toy. We certainly won't have a need for a weapon, especially when we've decided that there's really not much we really need to take from one another that we can't produce on our own. Areas of some of the like disease, these will just simply be aspects of changing our mind, or maybe a function of meditation. The carbon-13, when it becomes part of our normal DNA, will cause the rest of it to be turned on, and we will gain access to all kinds of interesting things, of which I only have a limited idea of. I imagine it's going to be quite a surprise when we move to a 12-chakra system, whereas for most people you're operating on 7. I think 8 if you start awakening, but you're still in a very limited state. Carbon-7 gives you that persistent connection to unity. And it's not a matter of existing exclusively in unity. Again, we're a special tool. We'll be able to operate potently in parallel, to act as a very specific translator for new duality constructs that are going to be again proliferating throughout the universe, that have largely been on hold pending the results of this experiment. Now, in order for this to take place, there has to be a surplus of neutrons, and they have to come from somewhere. Now, an interesting thing happened on May 17th of 2012. Scientists witnessed something that they call unusual, that I don't believe they have seen before, and that was there was a particular coronal mass ejection, or a CME, which is the sun spewing out particles towards the Earth. And in this case, something very odd happened. The pulse was literally answered by the Earth, and radiation or neutron detectors all over the Earth then all of a sudden detected this response to the initial CME. This was quite unprecedented. However, what I look at it as probably a test run. All of a sudden now that the Earth is actually changing, and weather is changing, certain aspects of the solar spectrum is changing. There's been climate change. There's been cold. There's been hot. It seems the Martians have been driving their cars around too much, and there's some global warming over there. Saturn got hotter. I don't know if the Saturnians are driving their cars anymore. However, there are measurable facts. Here on Earth, certain places are getting kind of warm. Where I'm at, we've had a fairly persistent drought. I know in other places in Europe it's been unusually cold. So something's weird. I am not, in a position where I think we should all go and throw out our refrigerators and our air conditioning because if it's something that's occurring with the sun. I don't think us sitting around in our hot houses and apartments are really going to help the situation very much.